What's up, everybody? Happy Christmas Eve. I hope you're having a great time. Hope you get lots of relaxation and rest over this holiday season, and you start the year out right here coming up for 2023. So, that being said, let's go ahead and jump into today's video. And today's video, I got a couple things I want to go over. First of all, we're going to jump to my number 3 workspace here, and we're going to look at my GitHub, or my Gitlab, excuse me. My GitHub is the same. If you go over to my GitHub for my Gitlab, I have the same projects and repositories over there, but I wanted to touch on a few things. If you go into my GitLab and my projects, I have added my i3 configuration. I had a couple people, I haven't had anybody talk to me about my i3 configuration in a while, but I had somebody jump on it telling me they had an issue with my logout script. So I took care of that and I pushed my current configuration. So if you go to my actual i3 repository, you can see here I got a little image here in my README of what my i3 config looks like. It uses i3 blocks, so that's something you'll have to install as well. I will do a full video on this window manager here probably within the next few weeks. Just kind of going over how I set it up and how I configured it, but excuse me. But for right now, I just wanted to show you that this is available. Now, I wanted to show you that because if we go back over here and go into my .files directory right here, or repository, excuse me, and we go into .config, no, excuse me, I'm sorry, it was my window managers. Boy, I'm all over the place today. If you go into my window managers repository and go down here to .config, you'll see I have an i3 configuration right here. I need to do some serious git maintenance and update my repositories. I know I keep saying that, and I'm doing a little bit at a time, but I don't really recommend using my window managers repository. I'm actually going to do away with it. I just want to make sure I have everything I need out of it, and then it's going to go away. So if you go on to my GitHub or my GitLab page, just kind of ignore the window managers repository because that one's going to be disappearing. And then you can see I also have a herbsluft directory here and a void herbsluft. This void herbsluft is my current directory. This one here was an older one that I used when I created my autoconfig script. I'm going to be addressing my autoconfig script to now point to this repository instead of my herbsluft repository. So again, the autoconfig, feel free to check it out and try it out or whatever, but it is going to be changing. So there's a few other changes and some cleanup stuff I need to do on my repositories, but that was just kind of the big things I wanted to talk to you about today and let you know that, hey, just keep an eye out. Don't use my window managers repository. I don't recommend it. I mean, you can if you want to. It's there, but it's not current, and some of the stuff in it, I don't know if it's still any good. So it will be going away. And then if you're looking for my void setup, it's this one right here, the void herbsluft. Excuse me. If you're looking for my herbsluft setup, it's right here in the void herbsluft. Anything headed with void qtile, void herbsluft. I'm going to change the i3, I think, to read void i3. But any of those are going to be current because, well, Void is home and Void is the greatest distribution ever made. You might argue with me on that, that's fine. I'm just being facetious, but I just figured I want to get everything kind of looking clean and looking a lot better. And you can see up here that nothing really happens with my repos anyway, but shoot, if you use them, great. Just wanted to give you a heads up on that stuff. So that was the first thing I wanted to cover, just the fact that I've got some git maintenance that I need to take care of on my system, and that I do have i3 on there and updated now. So if you use i3 and you want to check my configuration file out, feel free. So that being said, today's video, the main focus of today's video is what you're looking at on my screen right now. And you might be thinking, Jake, I'm looking at your herbsluft configuration on your screen right now. And the answer to that would be no, you are not. It looks exactly like my herbsluft because it uses my same polybar setup, and it's using the same wallpaper, but I only did that because I wanted to get this up and going and actually check it out. And so you might be asking, well, then if it's not herbsluft, what is it, Jake? Well, the answer to that question, if I launch a terminal here and we run neo fetch, you can see right here skyWM. Let's go ahead and zoom in a little bit. skyWM, and right here where it says window manager, it says Penrose. Well, what's going on there? This is a window manager I found that I thought was really cool. It's really, I don't know that many people know about it. If you go on GitHub and look up window managers for Linux, you will come across it. but I don't know how many people have actually looked into this window manager. And there's a reason for that. So if we close out of this and we go to my second workspace, you can see right here, skyWM. So this is the window manager we're checking out, and it's by httpllamaz. And it's just a X11 window manager. If you look over here, it's written in Rust, but the issue with it is still under heavy development. It is not usable as of yet, and documentation and versions are going to change quickly, he says. Now, I haven't seen much in documentation changes. He is fairly active. You can see it's been 5 or 6 months since his last commit. But I've been kind of following it a little bit just because I think it's kind of cool. It says skyWM is an extensible tiling window manager written in Rust using the Penrose window manager library. We'll cover that in just a second. skyWM has a clear and distinct focus adhering to the KISS and Unix philosophy. As such, no additional tools such as a status bar, wallpaper utility like Fe or Nitrogen, or lock screens are provided by default. However, they can be added by the user. Now the cool thing, well, the thing I kind of like about it, I kind of don't, I kind of do, because it's a little bit, I haven't gotten it figured out all the way yet, and being a mechanic and a tinkerer on things, I like to figure things out, and I like to figure them out fairly quickly, but this one's kind of beating me at the moment. But right here it says to customize skyWM to your liking, you can edit the main.rs file directly to add your own custom key bindings, startup processes, and more. No big deal. You don't have a configuration file. You just literally go into the main.rs file and you edit the source and then recompile. Sound familiar? Kind of like DWM, right? You edit the source code, recompile, you have what you need. So that is kind of cool. I've messed with the configuration file. I've gotten the source code. I've gotten some things to work, some things just don't. It just won't work for me. Now again, that could be because of right here. He says it's under heavy development and not usable as of yet. So I'm going to keep following it and watching along with it. But so when you install it, it's not currently packaged for any Linux distribution, so you have to install it from source. You can see the install.md to build it from source. So if we click on that, let's right click on that and let's open it in a new link. And let's go over here, and you can see it lists the dependencies you need for Debian and Ubuntu, for Arch, for Gentoo. You can build and install from source down here. This gives you the directions to do that. Typical, pretty easy, pretty straightforward. It installed pretty quick without really any issues for me on Void. So that was decent. I liked that. So you follow that, and then right here is a screenshot of what it says is skyWM by default. Terminal emulator font is not default. But everything else is default. This is what it looks like. This is your layout you get. This is what the windows look like. You got a red border. I have left the border red. I haven't changed anything on the border on mine, and we'll kind of go over really just the very basic stuff that I've configured on mine in a second here. But you can see it's just a basic setup. But if we scroll down a little bit more, you have some that are kind of prettied up a little bit. You got a nice background in this one. You've got polybar up here. You've got the same red window borders here, but you've got polybar installed and stuff like that. So it says user customized skyWM using polybar and Fe. So basically they've added polybar and a background image to this down here as opposed to this one up here. And then that's pretty much it for the GitHub page for this. But again, if we go up to configuration and documentation and we click on that there, it takes you over here and it shows you how to go through and configure things. So if you want to add shell commands to autostart, you add them to autostart array on the main.rs. So if you look at the const autostart right here, this array, you just add whatever you want to into that array to autostart. That I didn't have any issues with. I added my wallpaper, I added my compositor, I was able to add stuff up. Polybar, able to add the stuff up to start. Key bindings, again, haven't really had any issues with key bindings. The only thing I haven't been able to do, and I haven't dug into it too deep, is I haven't been able to change the modifier key from the super key to the alt key. And as I've said before, I'm an alt key user. My thumb doesn't bend far enough over to hit the super key very easily, so I don't prefer the super key, but it's not a deal breaker for me when I'm checking stuff out. So basically you go through and you can add whatever you want in here, these key bindings or the auto start stuff, and then you recompile and you're good to go. So and again, once you do that, if we go back over to the installation documentation, once you change something in the main.rs, you just come over here and you type in the sudo make build install. and then that will recompile it. You might have to log out and log back in. I don't know if that is a must. I noticed sometimes things would take effect and sometimes they wouldn't. But again, that could be due to the fact that this is under heavy development still. But if we go back to the main page here, and we scroll down, this Penrose Window Manager Library. I kind of looked that up. And so if we go over here to the Penrose Tiling Window Manager Library, it's basically a modular library for configuring your own X11 Window Manager in Rust. So if you're familiar with Rust and interested in kind of creating your own window manager, this would be something you'd want to check out. This means that unlike most other window managers, Penrose is not a binary, so this isn't the actual window manager. It's not a binary that you install on your system. Instead, you use it like a dependency in your own crate for writing your window manager. I'm not real familiar with Rust, but I'm assuming a crate is like a library or whatever. Correct me if I'm wrong. Again, I know literally nothing about Rust, so I'm just kind of going off what I'm reading. So it basically is kind of like a library to help you create X11 window managers using Rust. So if you want to read through here, I didn't go through it too heavily, but I just thought that was kind of cool that it's got its own, that Rust has its own little library here built to help you make window managers. If any of you know or have been watching my channel for a while, I'm slowly learning C++, so I've been working on creating a window manager in C++. I have not gotten very far. That's why you haven't heard much about it. I said I was going to do it, so I'm doing it, or attempting to anyway. But I have enough to basically launch a window, and that's about it. So I haven't shown what I've got on screen yet, and it's probably going to be a long time before I do. But I just thought this was kind of cool because being able to have a library specifically for this is really kind of neat. I don't know if C++ does. I don't remember. It's been a while since I've worked on my deal, but I don't think there's a specific library for it. If I'm wrong, again, correct me. But so it uses the Penrose Tiling Window Manager Library, which is kind of cool. The other thing I wanted to kind of briefly touch on is this guy isn't. He's not a slouch. httpllamaz. If you highlight over his name, it says, "Hey, I'm httpllamaz. I'm an open source enthusiast and Linux user. I am currently the project lead for Rhino Linux." So I thought, oh, well, what's Rhino Linux? So I came over here and I brought up Rhino Linux, and kind of cool that it says, oops, that's Packstall. I don't want Packstall yet. It says Rhino Linux is an Ubuntu-based rolling release. I thought that was kind of neat, an Ubuntu-based rolling release distribution with Packstall and XFCE, man, I can't talk today, at our core. A rolling release distribution is a Linux distribution which receives continuous package updates, and as such, there is no major update. A rolling release model offers new and experienced users a new way to utilize their desktop PC without the hassle of major upgrades. So, it's got the calamares. You've got some files you can look at, the ISO builder, our post-installation setup wizard, and got the website. So I highly suggest you kind of come over here and check this out. It's really kind of cool. I haven't gone through it too deeply right yet, but I'm definitely going to be looking at it some more. What got me was this Packstall. I was unaware of what Packstall is. I'm not too familiar with Ubuntu and stuff that goes along with Ubuntu because I've literally never used it. Closest thing I've used is Mint. But it's been a long time since I've used that. So I actually brought up Packstall, and Packstall is the AUR for Ubuntu apparently. Why is this different than any other package manager? It says Packstall uses the stable base of Ubuntu, but allows you to use bleeding edge software with little to no compromises. So you don't have to worry about security patches or new features. How does it work? Packstall takes the files known as pack scripts, similar to package builds, that contain the necessary contents to build your packages, and builds them into executables for your system. So I just thought that was kind of neat. Again, I'm not real familiar with Ubuntu. I haven't used it. Don't know if I ever will use it. But I know a lot of people like Ubuntu because it's been around, it's stable, it's a great deal. But I also know a lot of people like bleeding edge, and so this kind of gives you the best of both worlds. You can use Ubuntu and you can still have bleeding edge software. So this guy is got his hands all over in Linux and Unix and just kind of building window managers, building Linux distributions, all kinds of stuff. So he's no slouch. He's not anybody that looks like he's new to the game. So it looks like he's aware of what he's doing. I'm really hoping he carries along with this Sky Window Manager and maybe starts putting a little more time into it if he has the time. Might be a busy guy. I don't pretend to know who he is or what he's doing, but I would really like to see this one kind of grow, because it really kind of piqued my attention when I got into it and started playing around with it. But that being said, let's go ahead and jump to my number one workspace. Let's go ahead and launch a terminal here. Let's zoom in. We're going to cd into .local. We're going to cd into programs, if I could spell. Do an ls, and you can see right here I have skyWM, so we're going to cd into skyWM, and we're going to do an ls. And if you go in here, you want to go into the src directory, which is the source directory, so we're going to cd into src. And if we do an ls here, you can see we have the main.rs. Now this is the file you are going to mess around with to configure or customize your setup. So let's go ahead and clear the screen, and we're going to vim into main.rs. Now you can see it says right here, external crate Penrose. Use standard process command. So in using Penrose, we've got key bindings, we've got config, we've got helpers, and we have manager. So we have window manager, index selectors config, and key event handler. So it looks like Penrose, unless I'm wrong, handles key events, configuration after you've changed stuff, the window manager, I'm assuming opening and closing windows, window location, window placement, window size, all that kind of stuff. Index selectors, honestly, I'm drawing a blank on. I don't know what that would be. But again, I'm not familiar with Rust at all, so I might be completely incorrect on all of these. But again, I think it's key bindings or key events, the configuration after it's been addressed here, and then the window manager, or window location, window spawning, window closing, all that good stuff. Then as you come down here, you can see you can put constants in here, so your preferred terminal and program launchers if you want. So launcher, D menu, we have Alacrity as my terminal. The terminal they use from the start is Terminator, so if you don't have Terminator installed, you're going to need to address and add, like I don't have Terminator installed, or I didn't. I did just to get this running, because before I could figure out how to do anything. But if you edit the configuration file to before you build it, and add whatever terminal emulator you use, then you'll be able to launch that from the outset, as opposed to having to go in and maybe install Terminator if you don't have it or whatever. Now that being said, I did try to change Terminator to Alacrity instead of adding a second one for Alacrity, and for some reason it wouldn't do it. So I don't know if there's something going on there somewhere else that needs to be changed or what, but I couldn't get terminal to change from Terminator to my selected terminal emulator. But I added the browser, so I added my Brave browser for the browser. Then right here we have the array for auto start. We have const auto start, and then you have the string. So as you add stuff in here, you have to change this number right here. So you can see there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So we have a 5 here. If I added another item to this array, I would need to change this 5 to 6. If I took one of these out, I'd have to change this 5 to 4. So when you address this, you need to make sure you change this. Otherwise it won't build. Then we come down here, we have key bindings. Key bindings are pretty simple. You just add mod and then whatever key, M, capital M for mod, and then whichever key binding or key presses you want. And then you'd like this, you'd put run external launcher, run external terminal, run external term2. So those are the things that you set up here. You just do run external. When you come down here, mod shift E is going to exit, so that's run internal. Cycling through windows and stuff, you're going to do your key binding and then run internal, so it's going to kill client, toggle client, drag client, cycle through clients, all that stuff. Workspace management, or switching through the workspaces, again you're going to do run internal, so you put your key binding here and then you have the equal and greater sign. You want run internal with the exclamation point, don't forget the exclamation point. And then toggle your workspace, cycle your workspace. So if you want to change these are all going to be a run internal command. Again, more run internal, and then we have our workspaces set down here. I don't know, I haven't gone through to see if you can actually change these to icons or not. I haven't gotten that far yet. I've really just been kind of going through and reading on stuff and changing little things here and there. But then we have, for command and auto start, we have these down here, arg command, spawn, and expect, unable to auto start. And that's it. That's the end of the main.rs. So there's really not a whole lot to it. You can do a few things in there and change a few things, but other than that, that's kind of all I've gotten on. But I have found it's really kind of neat. I really enjoy messing around with window managers and just kind of different projects in general that people are working on. And like I said, this one really piqued my attention. So let's go ahead and go to Workspace 3 again, and let's go ahead and launch a terminal. And then we're going to launch the Brave browser. And then let's go ahead and let's just launch another instance of the Brave browser. And you can see we have the master and stack, which if you've watched any of my videos, you'll know that master and stack is my favorite layout. Now, can you change layouts on this? Not sure. Let's go back and look at here. So if we go back down to key bindings, we have cycle workspaces, toggle workspaces, cycle client, drag client, toggle client. I don't see anything about different layouts. So whether or not we have different layouts, I don't know. But we do have the master and stack, which is, let's just face it, the greatest layout there is. And the other plus to this is the fact that, as I've said before, it's more of a 60-40 split as opposed to a 50-50 split. I like having the master be a larger pane while the stack is a little bit smaller, because I like when you're working like this, you're mainly focused in that master window, and so that having the master larger than the stack is nice. So if we go back over here, it looks like we should be able to do mod left should cycle client forward, mod right should cycle client backward, mod shift should drag client. Oh, looks like we have full screen. Sorry, we have mod shift F will give us full screen. So we have one other. So it looks like we can do master and stack and full screen. So if we do mod left and mod right, mod shift left and mod shift right. So let's go back over here, and we've got Brave highlighted. So let's do mod left. So okay, so that cycles forward through everything. Now let's do mod right, cycles backward through everything. Let's do mod shift left. Mod shift left. Okay, so that, let's go down here. Mod shift left. Okay, so that'll cycle through. Mod shift right cycles that through. If we go over here and do mod shift left, so it won't. Oh, look at that. That's interesting. Oh, that's right. I noticed that before. One of the weird things that I've noticed about this is it won't focus the browser window. You can see it'll focus when you're on it, but as soon as you click, it disappears. So now I'm focused on it. If I do mod shift left, it will move it. Mod shift left, it moves it again, but now it's not. So if I'm focused on it, then mod shift left. But then I have to hover over it again and mod shift left. And the only thing it does that with, it looks like, is the browser. It doesn't do it with the. So that's weird. So I did notice that like with the browser, if you click on it, it doesn't give it focus. If you highlight it, it does. But like, let's close these out for a minute. Like you see here that I can't get focus to the browser, so it won't let me kill it unless I come up here and actually close that. So that's another issue that looks like it needs to be worked out, is actually focusing and giving focus to like the browser. I don't know if there's any other, maybe it's GUI type stuff that that is having issues, and it's not just a browser. But I noticed that when I tried to close window managers, terminal emulators and stuff, I had no issue highlighting them, focusing them and everything, and closing them out. Whereas with the browser, I have to actually X out, because if it's the only window open. If there's multiple windows open, so like say we open this and then we open the browser, you can see it'll take focus and then I can kill it. But if it's just the browser, you can see, oh, there, now it's taking focus. So if I do mod shift Q, now it's going to kill it. So let's open that back up. Okay, but as soon as you click on it, it goes away. But if you highlight, come up out of it, and then bring your, and it still doesn't want to do it every time. So, okay, so yeah, there's something weird going on with focus when it comes to like browsers and stuff like that, maybe GUI programs. But other than that, it's just kind of a really cool program. It looks like it's a cool project, and I hope the guy continues to work on it. But I just wanted to kind of bring some light to it, because maybe this guy needs a little bit of encouragement and letting him know that he's got a great project, and it's really cool. I look forward to what he does with it, and actually getting in and playing around with it as it becomes more and more stable. But that being said, I just wanted to touch base and show you that, give you a little bit of information on what I've got going on my Git repositories, and just kind of say Merry Christmas to everybody. I hope you guys have a great holiday. Spend time with your family and friends. Spend time by yourself again if that's what you want to do. Just whatever you got to do to recuperate, recharge, and just rejuvenate yourself. So that being said, I hope you guys have a great rest of the week, a great rest of the day. Happy holidays, Merry Christmas. God bless all you. I love you.